Hello. Welcome back. So this is my mom, Kelley, and she is joining me for this little podcast discussion. And the reason she's joining me is because my mom and I co-wrote a chapter about a shared tapping experience that we had about 10 years ago. And it's in a book that comes out this month on April 17th. It's called Tapping into Your Best Life. And in this book, we wrote about the shared tapping experience that we had. We'll talk about it more in depth in a minute, but it is the experience that if you've been around for a while, you've heard me talk about the experience that put me into my first remission from Lyme disease. And it was this tapping experience. And I shared it with my mom. We had a really cool past life connection that came up. So we recently revisited it to write this chapter, and we thought it might be fun to come and talk about it and give a little more context. So thank you for joining me, Mom.
Thank you for having me here. It's fun.
So we're just gonna, I think, let's go into it and just set the scene.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay, so I guess some good background, and I've talked about this a little bit before in some places. So again, this you've heard me say this before if you've been around for a while. Thanks for being here. But my mom is the reason, really, that I do the work I do. She has been exploring spiritual and consciousness ideas and modalities for a long time. And she invited me into things when I was a teenager. And then she invited me into this particular experience when I was 20 that really brought me onto this path. And so this all happened in 2016, so literally 10 years ago.
10 years ago.
And at the time, you were doing a lot of EFT tapping. My mom is a trained practitioner.
Yes.
EFT is emotional freedom technique. I feel like
Right.
maybe I should
Yes.
say that. And so in 2016, we were doing a lot of EFT. You were doing a lot of EFT. I was doing a lot of EFT with you.
Yeah.
And this was right at the point, right before this happened, I was kind of at my sickest with Lyme.
You were.
And so we're kind of talking about starting this, where I wanted to ask you, before we go into this tapping experience, what your experience was a little bit, in the lead up to this. You know, you were working on you had your own experience with the tapping. You were also holding so much space for me, and you were such a deep part of my Lyme journey. Like, what was that like?
Scary. It was frightening. We didn't really know what to do. For the longest time, we didn't know what was going on. Mm-hmm. And then when we finally got a diagnosis after you basically had a new tick bite.
Yeah, at least one, for sure.
At least one that actually showed up in a way that made people say, oh, we should test this.
Right, got like the rash.
Then it really hit home how real it was. Mm-hmm. And so it was really frightening. It seemed like everything we did made you feel worse. Mm-hmm. Every doctor we saw made you sicker. And there are things I would change if I knew anything different, if I'd known then what I know now. But I think we also were doing the best we could do.
Totally.
And I just wish it had been easier for you, because you're the one who suffered through the health journey.
But also, you're the one who walked me through it, because my mom was there. I mean, every step of the way. I feel like that's such an important. Since you're here, I really want to say that, because you were. I couldn't have done it without you going to every appointment with me and finding biomagnetism. You found that first, you know. You brought me to that.
So blessed, because a friend who I trained as an EFT practitioner with, Becky.
Yeah.
Her best friend was doing biomagnetism, and asked if I wanted to be one of the people who she trained on.
Yeah.
And after I went, I'm like, I would love for you to work with my daughter, and she said yes.
Yeah. Changed so much.
Yeah. It was transformative.
Yeah, I mean, it's changed our family's life too. Now we all have magnets.
We
and
do.
we use them all the time.
We do, absolutely. I get up, if I can't sleep at night, I get up and put on magnets. I mean,
Right?
yeah. Yes.
I always have them like in my pockets and like all the time, right? And I tell people, I know I look crazy sometimes walking around with magnets on me, but you should see my family. My parents do the same thing. So the other thing that was happening in the lead up to this session, to this tapping story, was on a Lyme level. That summer was the summer that like I walked away from all of the allopathic and naturopathic medicine and said I can't do the antibiotics anymore. And we were really at like a breaking point, like nothing at all is working. And so that's where I wanted to ask you. So we did what's called a quantum EFT session, and there's a woman whose name is Jenny Johnston, and she works in Australia, and she has a quantum EFT practice, and she was traveling around and doing like workshops, right? And you invited her to come.
I did. Yeah. So I had clients at that point. I was working with people in my office, and I had encountered Jenny's work and thought that it would be super interesting to get to know more about it. And then she announced that she was going to do a travel session through the United States. And she basically put it out there that if anyone in the U.S. wanted a workshop at their space, to let her know. And I did let her know. And Becky and I hosted her, and she stayed with us. And Jenny actually developed quantum EFT. So this is Jenny's like modality, and she teaches it now, and she's really amazing with it. Yeah, and so she came and stayed at our home, and we got a chance to interact with her, and then of course we got to experience the 2-day workshop with her.
But you invited her to come, and I wasn't even supposed to be part of the workshop.
No.
And we were talking about this yesterday, like that it was just kind of, I think, a last ditch attempt again. Nothing was really working. We had found biomagnetism. I'd done a couple of sessions of that before this particular experience, but like I think you just kind of asked me to come. You were like, she's coming, will you come do it, basically?
I think you were, I just remember you were so tired and you were so ill, and you just, I think it was also, let's see if I can get you out of the house. Let's see if we can go do something. And it's EFT, and EFT is good energy. And so I didn't know if you would. You didn't want to.
I didn't want to. Actually, I had so much resistance. I said yes. I said I'd go and do it. But that weekend, I remember the first day, I was like so resistant. I didn't want to be there. I think I may have cried a little bit. I remember going into another room with Becky, and her tapping with me until I would stay.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
And that was a really big lesson to me, because now I see it happen all the time, and I notice it myself too, that when we are like something is really big for us or meant for us, sometimes the like part of us that's really scared for anything to change will kick and scream. Right? It's like I actually like it now. When I notice I really don't want to do something, I usually think, okay, that probably means I should do it.
I need
because
to be here.
Of that experience.
Yeah, I need to be right here, right now. Absolutely. I'm so glad that you were too.
Yeah. Yes. One of those beautiful, like, I think serendipity moments. Yeah. It all just, it just weaved itself together so beautifully.
It did.
So, the tapping part of our story. So, in the quantum EFT workshops, basically, as a quick overview, at a certain point, every person gets to tap with Jenny, and the whole group is there, holding space for and tapping along. I think everyone taps along with the session, right? I think
we do. We all do the tapping, the borrowing benefits. We all get benefit from tapping. So we just tap along and add our energy.
And support the person. So I think we had a group of 5, right?
Was it 5 or
6?
It was something like that. It wasn't a huge group. We talked about that too. Yeah. It wasn't like we had this massive group of people. And it's kind of cool that Jenny came, and she came, and she didn't have a huge group, but she was there with us. It was meant to be. That was another serendipitous event that Jenny came, because I don't even think she does that any longer, because now you can do Zoom.
Right, exactly.
So we were so fortunate.
We were so fortunate. And so that day that we had the individual tappings, um, everyone else went, and then you were second to last.
Yes.
Right. So you sit down to tap, and do you want to share whatever you want to share about it? What came up in yours?
Well, it was fascinating because I'm not great with. I sometimes resist, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm going to be a disappointment to Jenny, and she's going into this quantum EFT, which is really going back into your past lives, to find out where something originated, and she made it so easy. She took me back to a past life. And I can't even remember how long ago it was, but it was like hundreds or years ago.
It was a long time.
It was a long time. And my biggest and most vivid memory to this day is running through a field barefoot in a skirt, knowing that I had to get away from people who were trying to hurt me. And I realized the more we tapped, that they were coming after me because the woman that I was a healer, and a woman who'd been under my care had died in childbirth, and it had set up this whole belief. I didn't believe in myself. I didn't believe in my ability. And while my part of the story is pretty small, this was a big release for me because Jenny helped me tap through this lack of confidence, this lack of belief in myself, and helped me walk into the world I wanted, and I'm a writer now. And so that was my part of the story, and it did make a big difference for my life, but that's kind of where mine ends, and now we'll move to you.
And I'm not going to go into all the details. I have shared details of this before, so I can link that in the show notes of this if you want to go into my large detailed shares. But essentially, I heard my mom's story, and again, I was super resistant to being there still, and I didn't really want to be didn't want to tap. I didn't want to be in the spotlight. I was also 20, and everyone else was older than me, more lived than me, right? And I just felt kind of like a kid, honestly. Yeah. I think, and I was sick, and I didn't feel good, and blah blah blah. And so I heard my mom, and I heard her say that, and I felt my whole body react, and I was like, that has something to do with me. And then I told Jenny that when I sat down. And she asked me what I was feeling, and I said, whatever my mom just tapped about had something to do with me. I felt it in my body. And so we started tapping on it, and the woman that my mom had in that life had tried to save and couldn't was me. And the memory that came to me was giving birth and dying in the childbirth. And that was, my mom was the midwife of that, basically. And we have this shared past life thing. And the whole room was crying. I remember that.
Oh, yeah. I got it. Yeah.
Yeah. And it was so powerful. And it brought me into this space, basically, as we tapped through it. I was scared to live. I was scared to lose my connection to my family again. And the thing that had happened with Lyme was basically, I got sick, really hit me in my teen years, and then every time I tried to go do something else, I went out of state for college. I went and tried to differentiate myself. I would end up pulled back home, and that like I said when we started this, every single part of that journey, my mom walked with me. It was such a deep healing time for me and in our family. I felt I'm a middle child, and I think I sometimes felt the middle child thing of I'm the middle, and I felt like I was so I got a lot out of being sick, which is now something I talk about a lot. We get things out of being sick or whatever is going on. I got a lot out of it, and for me it was feeling safe, and I wasn't going to lose that safety and lose the being held by family, because I didn't trust that I could be okay. And that was what came up in that session, and we tapped through it, and Jenny led me through a tapping with Lyme itself, and then we ended the session. It was 30 minutes. Each person was 30 minutes. I mean, they weren't long sessions at all. And And then I finally left. I did not do the last thing in the workshop.
That's right. You took a walk, didn't you?
No, I went home.
Did you go home?
I went home,
remember.
and Jonathan and I went to Babusick and we canoed.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
I went home and I told my little brother, come canoe with me. And he and I were, I have a picture of this day, of that canoe. He was like fishing, he was not paying attention to me, which was fine. And the sun was setting. We went out, it was pretty late in the day by the time this happened. And I have a picture of it on my phone of that same day. I was like looking at the sunset over the lake and I was like trying out saying to myself, I'm healthy. And it felt true for the first time in my entire life.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is just, it was a very amazing day.
It was. And it obviously, I mean, it freed me, but it freed you. It freed us of this particular
pattern.
Yeah.
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 Exactly.
Because since then we haven't walked the same. I mean, we don't the same push-pull of trying to figure out health in the same way.
True.
That
is true. Yeah. It was transformative. It really was. You were so, you set such a different light about you, I think.
It was one of the craziest things I've ever experienced. Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Absolutely wonderful.
And at the same time, and this is something that I've said in ways before, but I think it's important to say here, putting this whole story out, is it didn't stick without work, right?
Yes.
And that's the thing. We all want these peak healing experiences, and I still want peak healing experiences. And I have to remind myself of this, that the peak healing doesn't mean anything if you don't integrate it. Because I then, after that day, a few days later, maybe a week later, I think Jonathan and I went to Granite Gramps. And I was there for like a week or two or 10 days or something. And every single day I redid the tapping until I didn't need it.
Yeah, because Jenny sent the sessions. So you could go back for your session, yes.
Yeah, because I felt, I was like, this isn't going to stick. I could feel it. I was like scared. I was like, it's going to go away. And until I did it over and over and over again until it was integrated.
And I think that that's important because you're right. I mean, tapping is amazing. And there are a lot of healing modalities that are very, very effective. But you were sick for a long time, and it was changing. I'm assuming it was changing a mindset and a body set, and everything had to,
at that point,
had to change. And I still tap about things I thought were gone, know, and then suddenly something happens, it triggers it, and
you tap
back
again.
To tapping again.
Right.
Yeah.
And I mean, so now it unblocked your writing, and blocked your writer's block, and my mom is an incredible author, and I'll link your stuff too, because she writes really cool. So your Dream Master series is connected in with Irish mythology.
Yes, it is.
And it's so cool because I read her books. And
one of my first readers.
Yeah, I always get to read them. Yeah. I'm so lucky I get to read them before they're released and to beta read. And it's just, if there was like a book that that reminded me of what it feels like to do like a shamanic journey with an Irish god or goddess, it would be reading your books. Oh. It's so cool.
Well, thank you.
I want to say that too for everyone here because wow, we just got the wind.
We got a little wind through the house. Sorry for the sound effects.
Oh my goodness. Oh, we're getting a little emphasis.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you, Wynn.
Thank you. Exactly.
Right? But yeah. If you like to read fiction and you like Ireland, and you like Ireland,
unique
they're
myth,
amazing.
Irish myth.
Yeah.
They were fun to write.
Yeah.
And it was wonderful. You were one of my first readers and always gave me feedback.
To read them.
So.
But like you said, we still tap through things all the time. You still tap when you need to.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean writer's block is never there. It means that you have the tools. Like that's what these. Yeah. That's what we wanted to share about our stories is that
Absolutely.
this intertwined story essentially is that it's really cool. Again, if you've been in my world for a while, you know how obsessed I am with and fascinated I am with ancestral healing. And like, that wasn't even connected to our ancestral line.
Yeah.
That was just a soul thing, right? But it's an example of the soul connections that we have with our family.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that was so great because, it's just, I loved watching your evolution from that time to where you are now, because you've done so much work, and I may have done a lot of stuff, but you've really taken it and run with it. So your work is wonderful and beautiful, and I'm very, very proud to be here with you right now.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for doing this with me.
Thank you.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah. 10 years later. How
10 years
crazy.
later. Yeah. It's been a wild 30 years.
So I think that's that.
I think it is.
So if you want to read our story, read our chapter, it is in, like I said, Tapping Into Your Best Life. I will also link that. But it's not just us. There's a ton of people who have written their own experiences with EFT tapping. And it's bound to be a very inspirational book. So April 17th is when it comes out. And
Jenny Johnston has her own chapter in there as well. So find out more about her quantum EFT work. Yeah, but there's so many different ways to do EFT.
So many.
So
Jenny is actually wrote part of the chapter that we're in too, right? It's I guess 3 of us co-wrote it. So thanks for joining us. Thanks for being here, Mom.
Thank you. It was great to be here with all of you, and great to be here with you always.
Okay.